Thank you for joining me. This is our March users meeting, and I'm focusing on scheduling reports and report templates. Certainly, anything we can do to expedite and make our jobs easier, we need to take advantage of. And having things scheduled and having templates to work from are two ways to do that. I'll give you a few what's new items from INFOhio. Then we'll talk about scheduling reports and report templates. Starting off with what's new. This month is Music in Our Schools month. So definitely you can celebrate spring with INFOhio. And I apologize. Let me make sure you guys all can see this screen. Give me a thumbs up in the chat or a reaction so I know you all can see that before I go too much further. Okay, thank you, Kim. All right, so you all can see Celebrating Spring. And what we have here are a few resources INFOhio put together. And being Music in Our Schools month, I know we have some elementary folks with us, so check out those books, those through BookFlix, and they highlighted a few here for us. And I'm zooming past onto grades 4 to 8, some music trivia, links there for our intermediate, junior high kiddos, and including some science projects for sound. So that could be a fun little extra like project area you could add to the corner of your library, possibly. And our upper level libraries, maybe some music choice board, like almost in a way, a little trivia for them too. There's a music trivia in the corner of that one. And also this spring, they have National Puppy Day. That's coming next Sunday. We have a choice board about dogs as well, and some activities you could put out. National Crayon Day, a lot of fun things, very creative with March. And they've also given us some April celebrations, such as International Children's Book Day. And I recently had a fifth grade teacher. They're going to be doing kind of a activity at their school. So they were looking for fables and tales from other countries. So those are some resources that would help there. Plan ahead, then you have Earth Day next Saturday. And then they go into some May. So I'm going to stop on the spring resources there because INFOhio also has more for March, and including Youth Art Month, using ebooks in the art classroom, and this is to support visual literacy. And we have graphic novel ebooks that we can access through our online INFOhio resources. They also even show you some step-by-step instructions. I think this is great. If you have these materials, you can make your own paint. Art history. And if you feel like, okay, I don't have time to add this to my day, forward these on. You are that resource person to these teachers as well, who are always looking for something to use in their classroom. And here we have poetry and stories, artifacts. So the list goes on. And then for our lower level, we have some picture books as well. Oh, Harold and the Purple Crayon. Great movie. And I have the Dot book actually is sitting right next to my desk. Some copies I need to give to some libraries. But I usually save this for September because that's International Dot Day. I'm going to close up the Youth Art Month resources. Oops, went a little fast. And March is also Women in History Month. And those web resources from INFOhio have many things for us if we're looking for some quality text. So their ebook collection has BookFlix. So if we're looking for something grades pre-K to 3, they are helping you with this little how to navigate Bookflix to get to what you're after with some suggestions. They have Capstone, grades 3 through 5, hit their nonfiction and their biographies area. I am a big fan of Capstone, and they even have browsing those additional resources because Capstone has some really great templates for you to use. World Book, their ebooks. So we're moving up the grades K-5, but also 6 through 8. And let's see what the high school has for us. So just searching women in the keyword search, and you can find plenty in their EBSCO high school collection. So much more. Just want to highlight those. If it's something that wasn't on your radar, then wanted to let you know. Reports. Before I jump into templates and scheduling, I want to be sure we all have that basic understanding, a foundation. And what I'm going to do is throw this link for Introduction to Reports into our chat, and I'll make this a resource for later. But I want to be sure we all have a good foundation and understand. So this type of report here, I need to zoom in for you all. There we go. In case you don't want to open this, just be sure that we're aware reports mean a few things. A report might be actually a label that we print, like your dumb labels and your spine labels, but they call it a report just the same. It could be a report that we're just getting a count, total of your collection, or this is an example, counting bills. A report could be maybe your overdue notices that you send out to the students or to the classroom teachers. There are other actions, such as a report could be used to remove. I use that when you go through your inventory process or you do weeding and then put in a ticket, or you put it into Beth and Tiffany. Then you say, hey, please remove all my items marked for discard, or maybe they're missing, part of the inventory process. They get marked as missing, and then your support person for library will go through the process and run a report that actually removes those. And this here are another report type of statistics. And I've been getting requests from several library specialists saying, my principal asked me for, and it's the first time ever. But I would like to encourage you to take advantage of those statistics. End of the year, always feel that you can share that information with your school board, with your building administrator, and let them know what's happening in your building, in your library. And this next page just goes into those report groups. We see all these different tabs and what you're going to find under each tab. We'll talk more about templates at the end. And we are very familiar with those are in the group of the INFOhio tab. You're probably less familiar with the statistics group. And I know for my region, there are no custom, but LACA you all might have. And I actually think you do have some custom templates that might be under your tab. So I want to ask you all in our group, find the chat, and I'd like you to send the report you use the most, you think. Just type the name of that report into our chat. Pam, you said overdues is your most frequently used report.
Yes, correct. That's usually what I do more than anything. I think probably second is books that have not been checked out in a specific lengths of time so that I can weed.
Okay. And Cindy, you also do overdues. Do you do the notices to the students? And she typed in our chat, yes, yeah. How about Kim? You have notices. Seems pretty popular topic, especially this time of year. And same thing with Kim. And Beth's here to learn how to run those overdue. Oh, well, wonderful. Then we'll be sure we do that. That's a popular one. And that way, those who use it frequently, like Pam, then boy, you guys can jump in, give advice and tips, and then Beth will learn from you too. But yeah, we'll look at a few others. And actually, that's where I'm going to go next. So let me return to my share. So because of those requests from folks recently, I thought I'd bring that up. Reports about statistics. And you have here in this section called Promote Library, those all begin with the PRO. And I want to show you quickly this one that's called Circulation Stats. Quick statistics to give you kind of the nitty-gritty of numbers. But the list on the right is much more in depth. They are statistics, all STAs. And then they're just sliced and diced differently by grade, week, teacher. And you can also control the length. If you don't want to do weekly, you could do monthly. You can adjust this length of time. Then you could even just count items used in the library if you have all that information entered in your collection. Let's see, if you have just one student who's wanting to, they ask, did I read this book before? Or maybe you're having a competition and you're pulling by patron. This high activity items is also one that I pulled, and maybe we'll take a deeper dive into it. Because the particular request, one of them I got was, my principal wants me to give the list of the top 20 books that are circulated. And I'm like, okay, well, that's an interesting one. But you could also look at what's popular and use that to your advantage. So you can have it in your list when you're purchasing books, like what do you need to buy more of? So in-house checkouts then by date, probably not a circulation statistic report you really need. Now I see the link I did not put that in on that slide. So I have that report here. And let me go ahead and I want to return to muted video. There we go. And drop this link into the chat for you all. You can open these on other tabs and then follow with them, or maybe you want to open workflows if you're lucky enough to have multiple screens, and then you can go ahead and follow along in one. And in our chat, Kim has asked, or, is this possible? She's meaning to look into how to send emails to parents about overdues. And yes, that's very possible. If your library is connected to your student information, and I'm going to take a wild guess, I believe you guys are Progress Book, that's a nightly load. The student information comes over as well as the parent emails. And that way, when you do an overdues report, there's output options and a little checkbox to email. Some libraries want the email just to go to the students, but by checking that box, it's going to go to the students and the parents. And I'll get into details. We'll show actual screens on that later. And a question from Beth in our chat. Is it possible to put workflows on our teacher laptops, or does the program have to stay on a desktop computer? Laptop is fine. It can't be a Chromebook. I mean, it's going to need to really be a full-fledged MacBook, or if you're a PC district, A PC laptop is perfectly fine, but Chromebooks won't have the ability to install software. Wonderful. All right, so what I have on my screen shared with you all is the circulation statistics. So all we're trying to do is get a quick chart with numbers, and it's circulation over a period of time. So if anyone is in their workflows and want to follow this, I'm going to bring mine up and actually pull the handout off of there away, and we're going to walk through those steps. I'm going to scroll down though to show you what the output would be like. So if we're just looking at transaction statistics and want a total, boom, it's the type and we have numbers. If you want to include grade, you're still getting the numbers by the item types. But guess what? Now you've divided it down into your grades and you get to see faculty. So that's really nice. Maybe your faculty aren't using your library how you thought they were. But of course, I digress. Let me get workflows up here so we can run this guy. I'm here on my left side and I'm clicking into schedule new reports. And as I start, I'm going to pull that circulation tab back down. So I have it on a different window. Here we go. And workflows can be our main screen. All right, just situating some windows here. My space is a little crowded. When we're looking for this report, go into the statistics tab. There is, and I'm logged in as an admin, so I might be seeing more than you would. Don't let that deter you or distract, but I can find this. I have an all statistics, and you may see my statistics tab, custom circ count by item group. So customs they're all alphabetized. That's always so nice. So custom circ, and then I just run to the end item group. There we go. And if you glance at those, because I'm under all statistics, you see all the other choices. We have dailies, we have monthlies, we have a total, we have a weekly, and they're all broken up by grade, item group, or profile. Maybe you have your students, your first graders are student 1, your second graders are student 2. That's kind of still grade. Or if you have like a K-8 building and you want to have your primary kids, your K3s, maybe their profile is student 1, but then your 4 to 8 kids, they're student 2. So you could do by profile to kind of divide those up. All depends on how you're set up. I'm doing a double click so that opens up, and our tabs next then, our basic tab, just change the name if you need to. And your transaction statistics selection, that's a long name for a tab. You're going to pick your library. Oh, apologies, it's not a library choice. And as we're stretching that window there, if I wanted to specify, maybe this was just, I'm after my easies. Maybe I'm after my paperbacks. You could narrow the search down. I'm not going to do that. And then transition statistics. I see, this is where I should have chose my library. So that's already set. And then my transition statistics. So this is how it's going to display that quick grid. Item group, call number in the row. Let's see. I could leave column at total or change to grade level if I would like. So I need column to actually say total, or I need it to say grade. So I'm going to do grade. I'm going to get a bunch of zeros though, because this is a demo database. Did I already pass? It's all alphabetized. I don't have a grade. Well, look at that. So looks like I'm going with total. And I'm going to run. So I see my run now at the bottom. Oh, I'm missing transaction, date, range. So, sorry, I picked my library, but I neglected to pick a date range. So are you looking for the last 9 weeks? Are we looking for the whole school year? And the specific request, one of them was they needed to know, they were comparing from August of this year to December. And they wanted to do a comparison of August to December last year to see if they're getting the same circulation. I'm not going to compare and run this twice between 2 different years, but that's just kind of one of the requests that came in that made me think this would be worth sharing and talking with you guys about. So let me just do that. I'm going to say August. I'll make sure I cast the net very wide until now. So this would be my circulation for this building, and now I can run. And I'll hit display finished reports. So I know that'll be a quickie because, oh, I have nothing going on in my demo database, honestly. So this one is not an INFOhio report, so I better be sure I have all 3 boxes checked. And I'll bring this up. It popped up in Microsoft Word. And it's giving me a 2-page display. So I did have 25 transactions in my little library demo database. And then this is my count. So total pieces, I'm done. Pretty simple, but you control what you want to run the report on. Do we have anybody out there actually trying this report on their own machine? I'll share this with everyone, and it's in our chat. If your workflows ever looks like this, actually, I'm going to challenge those who are in this live meeting. Does anybody know why? And I could even challenge our other support people. This is a common one. I'm getting no feedback from our group. Okay. And by all means, this happens from time to time at workstations, especially if you get a new one and your tech has not set you up right. There is a theme choice. And my screen showing the fall theme, that's why there's oranges and this kind of burgundy red color. So I'm going up to preference, look at desktop, and let's look at desktop setup. And there's my theme, fall. When your theme is set to classic, that is the display. So it's bad news because you really aren't able to navigate around. So that's the fix. Go to preferences, desktop setup, and pick themes. Pick anything in the list but classic. And you may need to exit workflows and return. If it asks when you exit to save preferences, then you say, yes, please save that change. And when you come back in, you'll be fine. And I'm going to let that person work on it, see if that fixes it for them. Nobody took me up on my challenge. Boy. Okay, so that was a circulation report. Gonna see about showing you all another. Just have different tabs here. That one got minimized. I'll just move my workflows out of the way for the moment. Another quick statistic type report that I thought I would share with you all is this activities that have high circulation. And when I look here at this one, it's another simple report. It's going to be under Staff Web Reports tab, Item Activity. And in here, on their Basic tab, they just have the sample. You're looking for items with 10 or more checkouts. Now, I talked about an example of the top 20. I can't say that this is going to give you your top 20 if you pick 10 or if you pick 15. I don't know the magic number. but at least it's going to whittle you down closer than just running a full shelf list. It could get you started. And then what you do, you say, all right, anything with 10 or more. And if it comes back with 5 results, then you're like, okay, I didn't get my top 20. I only got 5. I need to increase or decrease the number. So maybe with just 5 circulations, it comes back with more than 20, no problem. You just look at the top 20. Then it's talking about the next tab, item selection. It has you select profiles to be included. And then if you have your item selection tab, did I just say that one? Yep, items, sorry. Select profiles to be included, and then you set your library. But they have some options here. If you want to limit the results, not necessary. I'm going to cast my net wide and grab my whole library. In the chat, if you have multiple copies of the same title, will it count it as being checked out numerous times? Each one has its own barcode. If somebody wanted to add in on that, feel free to unmute.
Sorry, I thought it was unmuted. So if I had 5 copies of Long Way Down, and let's just say 2 students checked out each copy, they're all different barcodes. So I'm wondering if the report will just show it as this barcode was signed out, or if it will do it by the title.
I'm thinking oh boy, I want to say by the barcode. But when you run it, Pam, if you see that title listed twice, then you know, okay, I just need to add up the
Correct.
2 for Title 1, the 2 for Title 2, or the copy 1, copy 2. Yeah. Huh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I would really think it'd be thinking of each one, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah,
That's
you're
okay.
welcome. Not a ton of help, but it's something to watch for now that you brought that to our attention. Not a bad thought. So let me pop out. We'll take a peek at this guy. And if anybody wants to run it for themselves and tell us if you like the results, this is a high item circulation activity by title report. So I gotta look for this. If I'm scheduling new, it's gonna be in our staff web reports tab. And you know what? I didn't run this one before, and now that I'm seeing staff web, there you go. That's not an area I go into much. And look at that. I have item activity. So let me just modify that title, high activity. And I'm not even going to put a number just because I know my demo's not going to give me a lot. But you could title it 10 or more, whatever you'd like. Item selection tab. That's your library. You need that selected there. And if you were going to, it was optional, decide by group. Maybe you want to say my paperbacks. I'm not going to, so I'm moving on to item activity tab. And so what am I after? Oh, look at that, folks. Maybe you even want the reverse. Maybe you want low activity, but that's pretty much, that's an easy list to get. We're after the high, and we want to set that threshold so it's been checked out. Okay, I'm going to say 2. I don't know if I'll even get that. And period. So it's a checkout and daily, weekly, monthly. So that's the activity period. I'm going with yearly. I better like really stretch this out. Number of periods. That part, I'm not real solid on why we would have number of periods. But I'm going to leave it because there's a number there already. You know what? Okay, I was wondering if that was going to change based on my activity period. And starting. So we do need to have a start date. So I'm going to start back on that August 1st date again. Okay. And I don't want to narrow this down to any call numbers. So good enough. I'm going to make sure I am happy and run now. And I know I'll maybe have one or two titles on this demo database. If any of you are out there reporting it, I'd love to hear what you guys are getting. And this one's coming out a very different report because this is from the old school staff web tab. And I'll just leave it. Yeah, I love CSV, so I'm going to make that my choice. But okay, so it's coming out like this. All I'm going to do real quick, because that's not very appealing to look at, I'm going to do a save as. It could still be a CSV. I'm just going to say, this is my high activity. And throw that into my downloads as a CSV. So I'd prefer to open that in Excel. So my downloads, I'm opening that up on another screen just so I can right click and open with, pick Excel. There we go. So this is what I'm getting for my report. And I picked yearly. It's telling me when my year started. And my call numbers, this would be my barcode. And these are my titles. So I have surprising numbers here. Let me see my period number. These were the period parts that I wasn't solid on, but I do have a total. It's kind of odd. Every one of those is 18, and I have numbers for these periods that don't have titles. But Snoopy and the Nightingale and Meet Samantha seem to be the ones. So Meet Samantha, an American Girl doll, has 12. The Nightingale had 12, and Snoopy, all 12. So not 1,000% that I have accurate data here. But that was how to run the report. And if anyone else is familiar with it, feel free to share your use of this. I'm going to head back to where we were a bit ago and return to our presentation. Just want to be sure kind of we got our report brains warmed up, and we tried a few maybe different reports we'd never done before. And when it comes to statistics, these are things that are definitely worth you sharing with your administration, or post it on the door or on a bulletin board so that way they can get an idea of the number of books moving through your doors all the time. Well, what you all see here is a screenshot I took because it was just asked, I think, this week. Hey, oh, I know why. Yes, I'm having libraries in my region, in another region, run through their report templates. And some of the templates, maybe old. A few people had report templates for the inventory process. And I'm like, yeah, you might make that and run through it, but don't know if that is a template I would really want. Like, am I going to constantly run a certain step in the inventory process? And their two templates were the missing and the transits. So when you do your pre-inventory steps, they had templates for those. And I'm like, I'm not saying it's wrong. I just never thought I would ever make a template out of an inventory report. And so they were asking, we went back and forth, and I'm like, in my local area, people are running inventory so seldom that really a template doesn't help them. They just go to the process and make a new fresh report. But I put feelers out there. I'm hoping to get more advice, and maybe even Beth or Tiffany, you two, I don't know if you have feedback on what your thoughts are, but I haven't heard back from anybody else in the state yet. So Just curious. We'll see. We have a conference coming up at the end of the month, so I'll keep asking that question. And the reason it was kind of brought up was we were reviewing report templates. So fine, that's set aside. But then it reminded me what's on the screen right now. Oh yeah, in your finished reports, your typical day in, day out, overdue, weeding, cat list, whatever report you run, that is only in the finished list for 30 days. That's it. They expire. Inventory reports that you run never expire. I don't want you to confuse this with a template. These are finished reports because I told you this long story. But on your finished reports tab, go ahead and pop open workflows and take a peek. Do you have old inventory? And I looked into my account and I have one sitting in there from 2022. Those aren't even mine. I wasn't the admin in March and May. Now, 2024, yeah, that was me, definitely. So if you see any of your ancient inventory finished reports, those are really worthless and you could clean those out. And you're thinking, gosh, it's been there for 3 years. Why does it matter? Well, all of this is just clutter. And when you look at your finished report screen, it sure is nice when you see that clean. It's easier for you to see what's new. It also is nice just in general for the servers. We're trying to keep those decluttered, and the more of us who keep our finished reports list clean, the better everything will run for all of us. So just wanted to let you know, inventory reports that you run are always in your finished. And look at Tiffany, she's giving me some advice. They run a script that removes any templates that have not been used since January 2024. Okay, I may look into that. All right, I appreciate that. Now that's about templates, but these finished reports, they're still going to be sitting there. So thanks for giving me that. Scheduling reports. Scheduling reports is one way that you can have something done for you on an automated process. And after we talk about scheduling, we're going to talk about report templates. And I don't really have many slides here, but this handout I'm going to throw into our chat and have it as a resource for those who watch the recording. You can get all of these from the INFOhio handbook, but how to schedule a new report. The idea, and it's really nice that this handout happens to be going through the steps to quickly go through the overdues. So this one is specifically an example for overdues by homeroom. And in the beginning of this recording, I asked everyone's favorite, and it was the overdues. So that's probably an ideal one for us to turn into a scheduled report. So we aren't kind of working extra hard when we don't have to. What's that? Work smarter, not harder. So I'm going to pull those instructions out of the way and bring workflows back, and we can get started. I'm going to schedule new reports. I'm heading to my INFOhio tab, because that's where I'm going to find my overdues and notices tab. So I'll set that up. And what you noticed immediately at the bottom are those buttons for schedule, running now, or save as template. I am always hitting run now. And then all that work it took me to set that up is gone. And if I want it tomorrow, I have to set it up and I have to hit run now again. But I hope to get across that today we can have schedule and templates work to save us that time. I'm not real picky about my title here. So if you're following along, great. Maybe make your own scheduled report. And in the chat, if any of you currently have an overdues and notices report scheduled, let me know yes or no, or the frequency of that report if you're a yes. So just going through the handout, the first parts of this is nothing new. It's not until, I believe, step 9 that we get into the scheduled portion, and it's really quick. So we're in a new report. We found overdues, and we're about the basics tab. So we're on it with our title, right? Change it if you want. The description, footer, all that. And especially if you're scheduling this, you may want to take a little bit of time and actually customize those. And
Rebecca, can you hear me?
yeah, sure can, Beth.
Sorry, I'm sorry to interject.
No.
This is the part that I really want to make sure that I understand. So we're running overdues. Is that what we're doing right now?
We are, yes.
Okay, so I clicked on schedule new report,
Good.
and then I heard INFOhio, or no?
Yeah, that's where you're going to find, correct, the
Okay.
INFOhio tab. Very good.
Okay, and then I have a lot of things populated. So then I go to CIR overdues and notices.
Beautiful. Yep, you got it. Yep.
Okay. Okay, I double click that. Okay, I am
Yep.
with you. Sorry, I want to make sure I can keep up and take notes for my other colleague. And we also have another teacher who works in here. So we have multiple people trying to get to this information.
Okay. Well, we'll be sure that that recording gets to you so you can share
Okay.
it to them. And
Thank
like,
you.
yeah, don't fear that you didn't have time to write something down because the recording will have everything, hopefully. And so, Beth, what are you working on for your sample? Are you going to do a grade level, you think, or you don't know yet?
I would like to do grades 9 through 12.
Okay. Got it. And those are the type of details you can put into your footer of it. You
Okay.
can, depends on the type of output. So I know I'm jumping ahead, but do one, and if it's not great, you just unschedule it and you throw it away. You don't think any of these settings are set in stone. They're always something you can set up again, or make a template, and you can modify templates as well to start tweaking them.
Okay.
So basic tab, that's where we are with our details. And the user selection screen. So I just skipped over 2 things, and it's possible that you prefer to do homeroom. If you know your homeroom numbers, if you're an elementary building, then you put in your number. Then your report's going to run for that homeroom. If I'm doing something like this, though, I probably should include that somewhere in the name, right? So it would make sense that I know, based on my title, the users that are going to be ran. So that's one thing to consider. That is an option. That's optional. I know we have middle and high schools in here. So you guys would not want to pick homeroom by any means. If you're going to do this on user IDs, probably not something you are going to want to sit down and plug in a bunch of patron IDs. So I'm just skipping over that one. I can't even come up with a good excuse to use it. And even the handout jumps straight to user selection screen. So you do have to be sure you pick your library. And I'll just talk about a few other optional choices. So let's say I am that middle school or that high school. I don't have homerooms, so I'm going to base it on my user profile. And earlier in this meeting, I mentioned, oh yeah, I have students 1. Those are my K3s, my student 2, sorry, I shouldn't say K3, but I should go higher up. That's my 6 through 8, and maybe student 2 are my 9 through 12s. So I could base this on the type on that user profile. Or I don't know what profiles there are. I just know that the kids are in grades. That's all I can handle. So I would pick over my grades and bring in a grade level at a time. These choices you're making could be here in the title, and that would help keep it straight when this thing runs. If it's scheduled, you're going to want to be sure you have you're able to decide and tell which one ran. You don't want too generic of titles. All right. So we got to be sure that we have our, let me get to the right tab. We are on our user selection tab. Got it. All set. And now I'm going to be sure I pick my sorting tab. Again, I'm jumping over. I'm going to sorting. And how do I want this to be displayed? We have a lot of choices here. All of them begin with library. So really you need to look at what's next. And it's going to run this overdues, and depending on the type I ask for, the next thing it's going to look at would be the teacher, or the next thing would be the room. Or if I was a JVS, it would be the program, if that's brought over from your student information system. You could have by grade, then the teacher. So just kind of think through this list. They're just saying this is going to be first. Of course, it's just your one library, unless you're someone who is supporting multiple libraries. Then it's going to be the grade and the room and name. It is really your choice, but this sort is adjustable. I'm going to leave mine library and then the teacher and then the name. And then the output options for these overdue report, I'm looking at the type. So is this brief? Is this something real short that I want to give out to the homeroom teacher, or pin up where I can quickly glance at it as students come to my desk and I'm like, hey, you have 2 overdues. Am I printing out notices that are half sheet? And then if you see it's grayed out here, start a new page on the sort key. And another important feature for those notices, I want to save paper and put 2 per page. That's another important item if I'm picking the notices choice. And all of you out there, you could be picking something different. Don't think I'm, controlling and dictating what you have to set up. I'm just trying to describe them briefly. I'm not going to do a spreadsheet in this case. I'm going to uncheck unpaid bills because I don't have bills. No reason to have columns in the paper for that. And then this is going to be 2 notices. Great. Show default. Nope, I don't need that fine or fee message because I cleared out these 2. So I try to declutter this as much as possible. And this is a little message that can appear because this is the notices. And if I'll just toggle back. As soon as I hit brief, this stuff grays out. These are not options I have, because that's the list that I might hand to a teacher. Notices, I'm going to hand these to the kids, or maybe they get stuffed in their report card if paper report cards still go home. There we go. That's a little message that'll be added to every student on their half sheet notice. There are additional items at the bottom. Avoid having too much personal information on this in case they drop it in the hallway. You don't need to have everything listed. Taking off the fines, because I don't have those in my library. Price, I've heard 2 different perspectives on this. And I'll ask here in our chat. Do you or would you include the price? One I've heard said, yes, because then if it's overdue and it's never coming back, some parents just send in the money and don't even fight it, don't even worry about second notice. They just say, we know it's a goner. Another person told me this year that they are not allowed. She had to remove price. Her principal said, no way, Jose, you are not allowed to do that to our families. So you could put this in the chat, what you guys think. And so from Pam, she's typing, I include the price, so students know what will be charged to them. Very good. That's fine. And it's going to be different regions, different philosophies. I'm with including the price as well. And because it does let them know, hey, this did cost money. Either try to find it harder or, if I know I'll never see the money, it's still maybe putting a little pressure on them. Okay. So thanks, Pam, and others, you guys can continue adding, because the more you share with each other, then the better you hear from your peers how things are going. Definitely the date notice, we need that. And this is an optional email notice, and I believe that was asked. Was that you, Beth? You are wanting to know about emailing the overdue notices, and this is it. This is where it happens down below. You can email that to parents, as long as your student information system is syncing that to workflows, you have the parent emails. Now, sometimes parents set up the email account and don't really check that account. So you don't have 100% assurance that every parent's getting that. Maybe it's an old email, but at least this is where you would do it. So then the checkbox down here, email notices to all patrons with valid email accounts. When this is done, you can also check this box to report invalid email addresses in a report log, and it'll report back. Beth and Tiffany, I've gotten those when one of my schools has ran those, and then I say, hey, I see that you must have did overdues and you ran it and checked that box. So I wanted to let you know these parents never got that email. And then they'd have to check on, getting those updated. But that's optional. But then here we go. And the from address by default is just, you can put in what you want. It's going to be default library notice. It's going to be default from this. If you want to put that in your own in there, you could. I do know, because these are also going to go to students who have emails, this has to be whitelisted, and it would, forgive me, this is generic. So it'd be circe@laca.infohio.org, circe@tccsa.infohio.org, or depending on your region, I'm naming all three, no circe@noeca.infohio.org. Those emails have to be whitelisted with your schools if, like, the students have a school Gmail. Otherwise, the students never get the email. So that's an email option right there. I'm unchecking mine. I have nobody to send these to in my demo. And then before I leave the screen, I'm clicking on schedule. So this is what we're really here about. Even though we got a review about overdue reports, we're here for step 9 on that handout for the schedule new reports. The criteria for our report is completed. Good. Now we are selecting schedule. And this will be for future dates. ASAP, that would have been nonsense. We would have just hit run now. Same for once, but maybe you want it to run later today and you want it to email out later today. That kind of thing. That's kind of like a schedule send. You can run these daily. I doubt if you would want that so often, but decide. It's more likely a weekly, or you could do a monthly. And what we have now are choices to make. So we're scheduling a specific day of the week if we're picking weekly. And when we do this, we're going to decide, all right, is it going to run today, which is a Friday? So if it's weekly, maybe I prefer it would be on Mondays weekly. And I need to check that box, and beginning with the 17th of this month. So we're in the middle of a month. I could even say, all right, starting on the 31st of the month on Monday, please run at 8 a.m. And I would have, sorry, let me get this to be an a.m. Beautiful. And it's going to email to me. So you put your own email in there, and you are going to get an email saying that this has ran. Pop in here to workflows, to your finished reports, and now I'm done. I don't have to go through all that laborious setup. It has been scheduled. It's going to run until I tell it to stop. Does anybody have a question on this schedule screen that I'm in? Pam's question, can we change the default email to our school email address? Oh, that was back, I'm sorry. That was
Yes,
when
that
we
was
were,
that was the previous screen.
yes. Yes, yeah, you could have changed the email that was in that field, but oh, can we change the default, you mean?
Yeah, so could I use my P-Bice at Granville Schools?
Oh yeah, just type it in that box, in that
Okay.
field. Sorry. Yes, if you
Great.
don't type anything in there, it's gonna come from that Cersei address.
Gotcha. Okay,
But keep,
thank you.
yep, and so that way parents would see that. It's also going to students. So students, again, same rule applies. If they're not whitelisted to receive mail messages, well, at least you're internal. I take that back. See, the reason I talked about whitelisting is Cersei at blah, blah, blah. That's outside of your Google domain, and often kids are kept within the bubble of your school Google domain.
Right.
And that's why that has to be whitelisted. But if you type yours in that field, you're within the bubble, so you should be
Good.
fine.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, good question. And if any of you are setting these up, or you're just taking notes for now and think, ooh, I'm going to set up, and you're making mental notes, come off mute and let me know if you're going to do maybe monthly. What makes more sense to you or useful?
Hi, Rebecca. It's
Yeah,
Beth.
yeah.
I was just gonna do the ASAP one, the report. Is that okay? I'm just really curious to see kind of what we have out.
The way I think of the ASAP is just as soon as possible, right? It's just going to run it
Sure.
immediately. So
Okay.
I wouldn't have even come to the screen, honestly. I would have hit the run now button
Okay.
instead.
I think it says schedule on the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, so I have I have a schedule button. So I suppose, it would have been set ASAP. It would kind of ignore the rest of what's on the
Yeah, it did.
screen.
It didn't do
Yeah.
any of that, but that's good to know. Once we find a pattern, I think we would run it probably bi-weekly.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I like that.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit schedule.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we all have to hit schedule if we've picked any choices like days of the week or a cycle. So that's been scheduled, and you always get this button and you probably never hit the one in the middle. And now's the time. Display scheduled reports.
Okay.
Yeah, so we all can look at what has been scheduled. And if you look and you're like, wait a minute, shouldn't mine be at the top? Well, it's not, because it hasn't ran yet, possibly. Like I set mine for what, the end of the month on Monday, and it's gonna do weekly. So I'm going to click, these column headers are clickable, and that lets you sort. And so I see that I actually set up my homeroom one just now. It's
Mhm.
never been ran. I set up one a while ago, a third grade notices, and it's never ran. So it does tell me when it's gonna run. And
Mhm.
this one is the first of the month. That should really say 4/1. That's kind of surprising. But this one I just did is saying, okay, why don't I have the email? Where is it? Why isn't it in finished? Come to your scheduled screen and you'll see sort, make sure if it has never ran, when is it gonna run? And the cool thing is, if you think, oh no, I messed up, waiting till the end of the month is too late, you guys can all go down to modify at the bottom and say, okay, I'm going to hit schedule again and I'm going to fix that. It needs to run St. Patty's Day instead. And then I can hit schedule again and display. So it's nice to know it's not like rats, I messed up, I did one thing wrong, or I didn't change the name and you think you're stuck. Go down and make sure you hit the modify. Now, if this is something, especially these things running here, and if you guys picked a frequency of weekly, even monthly, you can suspend these. So if I don't want these to run over the summer months and I don't want to get a bunch of emails that are junking up my mailbox, then I might want to suspend these. Let me actually do it to the 2 that I made. If I can get the right rows. And when a report that is scheduled is suspended, it is going to show in bold. That's how you know it's not running. So this is something you guys can work on. And if you're not ready to start using it, you can schedule it and get all the settings the way you like and suspend it so it's just waiting for you to use.
I didn't get any of those listings under schedule new reports. So now I'm just kind of trying to work back through the screens that we just sent. So yeah, I'm
Here on the left, if you click scheduled reports, you don't have anything in your list.
no.
And you made an ASAP one, but did you go change that or you're just starting a new one?
I'm just now working through the screens as fast as I can remember what they were. So
Okay,
I'm
okay,
on like the basic and then
sure. I'll go
I
with
think to the library, and so now I'm gonna put my library over there, and then
I don't want to argue what I don't believe in.
I got sorting. It's set where I would like it,
okay.
and then output options. I'm just gonna run it as brief if that's okay for now, and then I might go back to the 2 notices per page.
All right, you can modify it. That's
Okay, well,
that's
all right.
perfectly fine.
Okay, so I'll do that. So now my options at the bottom are schedule or run now.
Correct.
Um,
So choose schedule.
okay, schedule. Yep. And then
And we learned
um,
ASAP's no good. It's kind of like, no thanks, because we want to maybe, you talked about bi-weekly, you thought?
yeah, but I actually am really curious. So I'm not against the ASAP at all for right now. I would use them Monday morning.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, go ahead and set it though. Yeah. Well, yeah, don't delay it. Like you have it for right now, so you can see it
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
Um, Or if you say, nope, don't show up in my mailbox, my email notice, I don't want to know about this until next Monday, it'll wait. This is like a little schedule send.
So bad.
Okay. And then I hit schedule at the bottom.
Yeah, that'd be your final button. Did you put anything in the email?
Um,
If you want to email notice about this.
And so I don't follow.
It's up. Actually, let me see if I
Okay.
leave it blank because I think it's gonna. Okay, no, that one did. I'm not good at remembering stuff. So it let me have this schedule for weekly on Mondays at 2:13. Oh, sorry. Starting the 17th, it'll run on Fridays. Apologies. It's just this is a calendar picker, and then this is the day of the week. It'll actually run after this date has arrived. But if I just had them running, maybe I'd be good to go to finished reports and go pick it up after it's ran, but I'm not. So the email is optional. If it was me, I'd check it. And then I got, oh yeah, that kind of
Oh, yeah.
reminded me.
I like that. So I did put my email in.
Okay.
And then I hit schedule. And then it goes to schedule a new report, display scheduled report, display finished report.
Yeah, so hit your middle button to display scheduled reports.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So this says there are no matching reports scheduled.
Oh, you have nothing in your list again.
No, it's just kind of looping.
Huh. Okay, Beth and Tiffany, you guys hearing that from Beth? So maybe that's something to look into. See what's going on with your report settings. Because it sounds like you're good. And you picked your library.
Mhm.
When you ran through that, I was listening to your steps, so I don't know what's missing.
My camera.
Okay, but that's going to take a little troubleshooting time. So maybe we can save it if I have time at the end. Maybe
Okay.
we'll work through it. I don't want you to feel neglected,
Bye.
but I'm like,
It's okay. No.
nothing's coming to me right away that you would have missed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we
Sure.
can look at it too,
Yeah.
if there's no time for that, and at the end of this.
Okay.
Thank you, Beth.
Yep.
Both Beths. All right. So that takes us through how to schedule, where to see the scheduled, how to suspend, and quick ask for you to put it in the chat. Knowing what you know now, do you think you'll use a scheduled report? Okay, so we hear from Kim Gary. She says, yes, I'm glad that was helpful to you. That's all I'm hoping to do is help you all. And because of having those scheduled, it's a set it and forget it, and you just walk in and the work is done. So from Pam, yes. She's asking if we say to email to patrons, do we have to put it in each email address? Email to patrons. I'm going to go return to that overdues and notices report just to jump there. So let's say notices, email to all patrons with valid email. Yeah, that is what's going to actually send it. These two boxes are just making the email subject.
Okay,
This could
great.
be, yeah, anything you want.
That was, because that was horrifying to me.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And this I could say, all right, the kids are not going to know who Cersei is. They're going to think it's junk and read it.
Right.
Or they're going to look at this and say, oh no, it's from the library lady and still delete it. I don't know. But they'll be
Okay,
like,
great.
yeah,
Thank
at
you.
least they see a name they recognize, but you have to check the box.
Okay,
Otherwise,
I will do it. Thank
got
you.
it.
I love that.
Good. Yes. Give that a shot. I did have some people send, to students in a particular school district this year, and she said it did help. She got more books back when she did the email. And that's important. That's why we're trying to send those overdue notices out. That way more kids get to circulate the books. We keep them, we save our money because we're not buying lost books. Phew, it's a snowball. Well, let's take a peek now at report templates. Report templates can be anything you want. And we talked about report types. So it could be a report that's just a list, such as a shelf list. I'm going to actually use a shelf list in my example because I feel that's a pretty popular one. I use this a lot. And if I get my settings the way I want, and I'll try to go through this one a little faster. We have where I can pick, I'm just going to really jump to the tab I typically go to. I go over all of these and I go straight to item selection and I pick my library. But I might take effort and I build a shelf list for a certain status. So maybe I want to keep track of ones that are lost. And so this would be my shelf list of items I'm marking lost. As it's the end of the year, I want to see how many books I lost. Other reasons could be maybe I'm looking for, let's see, just I'm making a shelf list of my books and in a certain genre. And I know this with my demo account, genres don't show up. But if you are a genrefied library, maybe you want to know what your list is for that genre. There is a lot of other choices in this list. I'm going to just stick with my generic sample of my library, lost books.
Excuse me,
And-
Rebecca, are these books then that have already been identified as lost, not just that they weren't returned?
Correct. They were identified as
Okay,
lost.
thank you.
I marked them. Yep. And then I decide how I'm going to sort. This is similar to that overdues and notices report. It's looking at possibly the title and then the author. I'm one to kind of leave this. I see the call number, I see the author, and I see the title. Whatever is typically there already, that's how I leave my shelf list. But again, I'm just reviewing it so you know you have the control. Now, I'm probably the odd man out here, but I do pick spreadsheet when it comes to this particular report because the shelf list can be long and it's so much easier to read when it is a spreadsheet. And I'm betting I got a few of you in this group and who will watch the recording who don't open any of your reports in spreadsheets. So I'll take care of that in a moment. But this is my little, I guess, advertisement for the benefit of setting your workflows up to do this. It's the shelf list. So I go through and I work so hard to get it just the way I want. And I don't care about publish year, but maybe I'm after some information like, ooh, who has these checked out? I know they have a separate activity, active loan list report, but I'm just going to do it because I want to know who lost these, right? So status was already chosen. So these are all going to be lost. I could technically uncheck that, but I want to be sure these are really my lost books. Who lost them? Maybe the last time that they were checked out, how long ago? And I could also look for other important things about the book. It's a group. Where is it from? So this time I need to pause and look at the buttons across the bottom again. I don't want to run now because all that work was for one hit. I want to hit Save as Template. And so it just says, report is saved as template. Okay, thank you very much. It did not pop up that pop-up window that gives me 3 choices to view. Nope, because I didn't run it. It didn't actually do anything. I just set it up. I do have a tab for templates. That's where I'm heading now. And I want to be sure I see mine here is the date at the top. See, none of these have ran, and that one says I've never modified it because I just created it. And I'm going to close it. These are other ones that I've made. And so notices 2 per page. That's not a bad template. Let's see, we have checkouts for grade 6, checkouts for grade 8. This was just a homeroom report. And this was an active loans report. And if I say, oh dear, shelf list, I never updated the title. You can modify. You can go down to the bottom and hit modify. And I will be honest with you guys, I've seen some of my libraries and then they have cat shelf list, cat shelf list, cat shelf list, and there's 3 of them. And none of them have unique names because what somebody had done, they were making a template, and rather than come back to the templates tab, they kept making new ones and not updating the name. So now we can't tell which one is the best one. Instead, I want to encourage you to come back to the templates tab and hit the one you want and modify if it's not the way you wanted. So like I said, this is a shelf list for lost. Oops, I better update the name. Lost. And I can say okay. I still haven't ran the report. I don't have any results. I just updated the title to the template name. Now, when I'm ready, I can either double click the one selected or I select and click Set Up and Schedule. I don't have to go through all these tabs. I already took care of it. The template is done. I come in and I run now. Finally, I get this box because I did something. I actually ran it. The results are there already. I don't know what I have. Now, here's the part, because I picked spreadsheet, I might diverge off from the rest of you. I have my workflow set for the print button to open up Excel. It is an INFOhio report, so I only need the center box checked. And now Excel will launch and show me, of course, nothing. I didn't have any lost. And that's my fault. That's a bad example. But now I have a template ready to be used again and again and again. And I don't have to do the work setting it up.